First of all, though, I want to talk about Hiller. And so a video last week popped up into my feed.
Notice how narrow his lips got. He's already fired up.
I did notice
one of his videos. A number of them do on my YouTube.
A video popped into my feed, meaning he wasn't looking for you. Right?
It wouldn't be the first time a video would pop into his feed. YouTube knows.
Right. So oh, interesting. But he's trying to avoid the fact that he went and looked for your video.
I got a buddy who hasn't done anything CrossFit in a decade. And he goes, I get fed your videos. And if he gets fed my videos, Dave certainly gets fed my videos.
YouTube feed or like a YouTube notification on my phone. I never watch them, but I decided, all right, I'm going to watch this one. And so the last time I watched the full.
Why did he decide he was going to watch that one? Why?
Do you only get a YouTube notification though if you subscribe?
Yeah. And you got to click the little bell.
Why did you watch the video, dude? Do you think someone told him to watch the video and he's just not saying it?
What is the thumbnail? It's got Born Primitive on it.
Does it have him on it?
No. It's got Born Primitive on it. I wonder why. Must have been a good thumbnail.
Call Dave, Sevi. After the games. Here we go.
Video of his was probably last year around this time. I wanted to see, people were saying a lot about him, and at that time I hadn't watched any of his videos.
So it's been a year since he's watched one of your videos, he just claimed.
I wonder what video that was.
So I've watched 4 or 5 just to get a sense of what he was saying and his perspective on things. Anyway, so just watch this one. And there's a few points I want to talk about. One of the points is the credential thing. He's acting surprised and well, maybe not surprised, but he thinks he should have a credential. He's highlighting that he didn't get one. And a number of other people in my comments have said, hey, why didn't Hiller get a credential? And he talks about Craig Ritchie and the Buttery Bros getting credentials and how relevant he is in the space. And then he goes into this whole tangent about,
I mean, you are relevant in the space. And
I'm having fun with him laughing and having fun with it. This is good.
You are relevant. He's relevant in the space, right, JR? One of the most relevant?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of definition you want to use for that word, but I would say it's hard to say Hiller is not relevant in CrossFit.
Like crazy relevant, like injecting, like at the 300,000 foot view, he's injecting so much energy into the space.
He's as relevant as he is polarizing.
And look at the engagement on his. I don't know anyone who has more engagement than him anywhere. And he gets naked on camera.
I'm more relevant than Craig Ritchie and the Buttery Bros, and that's the only point I was trying to make.
How about combined?
No,
oh.
I don't think so. I can't claim that. I can go. I like to claim it with certainty that I'm more relevant via metrics that you can point at. I can't do that.
And are you surprised that you didn't get a credential?
No.
Are you surprised he didn't get a credential, JR?
Yes.
What's the guy's name? Liam Neeson and his film Taken, and basically insinuating how he's going to be a nightmare for us. Hey, look, here's the deal. He'd be a nightmare for us if he was there. He'll be a nightmare for us, or try to be a nightmare for us if he's not there. So like, don't act like by getting the press credential, you're going to show up there and you're going to turn a blind eye. You're going to turn your head towards the things that you would normally launch after, like this whole contrived drama that you tried creating over the first workout or the rope climb workout, where on the last round we are having the athletes, for the flow of the event and for the race, run from the box jump across finish line instead of going back to the rope and doing one where you'd have all this crossing at the end. So it's just clean and makes a better race for them to go across at the end. Whatever, forget that. Point being,
is that true? If you were there, would you be less critical?
I wouldn't have time to be more critical. It's the whole point.
You wouldn't have time. Oh, because you'd be too busy dealing with the actual event than hanging out on the outside.
It's like what you say. When you go to the games, you got a goal, you got a purpose. It's like I'd be trying to gather content of the things that I think people would want to see from the event. When I'm sitting around resting on my laurels, I have people throwing me everything that they themselves see, and that's generally not the best of CrossFit. It's not like, oh, did you see how fast so-and-so did this? It's, did you see how they messed up that or this?
Do you think they should have given him a credential, JR?
Yeah, see, when I when I think about CrossFit, I try to think about it like other sports. And I know that might be a fool's errand in some ways, but take Stephen A. Smith. He's without a doubt the most popular media person probably in all of sports. And it's because of First Take, because he's a guy that just starts talking and he talks about people and he has outlandish takes and he doesn't back off and he goes after athletes specifically by name when they do things he doesn't agree with. And he's super relevant and you either love him or you hate him. So to me, having Hiller there, they would never tell Stephen A. Smith he can't go and report at a basketball game. They would never tell him that, ever. Even if he wasn't working the game for ESPN, they would never deny him the ability to go talk to athletes, talk to coaches, any of that stuff, because they know he's box office. They know that whatever he says is going to get views. And to me, I feel like if CrossFit doesn't have people like Armin Hammer back in the day, which is basically how Hiller is, and I loved Armin for all of his takes, even the ones I didn't agree with, just because he made it fun. So that's kind of what I liken it to.
So are you arguing that they should even hire Hiller?
I think Will Brandsetter made an amazing point on Around the Whiteboard where they said, hey, don't deny him access. Give him a job. Just say, hey, dude, you can come, but this is what you have to specifically do. Basically, like, give him a job for CrossFit. I don't see Hiller turning that down. I think he would welcome that.
Hey, you know what's so interesting about like do a piece on Danny Spiegel at the
whatever.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's my Moby Dick right there.
You know what's interesting about that is you look at ESPN and they have some really risque, wild shows. They have some wild takes. I mean, we know that McAfee, that Pat McAfee guy, he even goes after the executives in the company. He goes after them hard, and his show's huge.
You mean like Josh Grau?
Yeah, like you obliterated Josh Grau and DeCoons.
Oh, well.
Here's the deal, dude. Here's the deal. No one watches ESPN to listen to Dan Orlovsky. I'm Dan Orlovsky. No one, you don't even know who that is, but everyone watches ESPN for Pat McAfee, like Taylor Self, or for Stephen A. Smith, like Hiller. That's the whole point. You know Pat McAfee, and you care nothing about those sports.
Yeah, I care nothing about football, but if the clip pops on my feed, I watch it if it's his show.
Right.
Who's Dan Orlovsky?
Exactly.
All right.
Does he have awesome biceps?
I'm not surprised that they didn't give Hiller a pass. I'm not surprised.
Even if you didn't have a credential, or you're still going to do the same thing with a credential or without a credential. So don't act like it's going to be any different. And
you're saying that's not true, Hiller. What about the rope climb thing? Did you make a stink of that? Did you accuse them of fucking up the rope climb and saying that like they meant for there to be 14 and they ran a shitty event and only got 13?
If the workout's written is 21-15-9 and you're doing thrusters and chest to bar pull-ups and all of a sudden it's 21-15-9 8 because for whatever reason it makes more sense, it just doesn't look right, and it's never happened before.
Did they? I know that they
ever happened before where they write the workout down and it's a different workout.
Well,
based on something like that, I don't think so.
Basically, it said 2 rope climbs with the other shit for 7 rounds. Was there an asterisk or anything written at the bottom that said except for the last round?
No.
Okay.
I'm not throwing a stink about it either. I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah, I don't think that they fucked up in the execution of the workout. I think they fucked up in the writing of it. What do you think?
Everyone and their brothers like, hey, 14 rope climbs. Is that hard? Is that harder for the women than it is the men? And like 13 isn't 14. That's all.
Yeah. What do you think, JR? Do you think it was a fuck up on the execution of it in the live, or do you think it was a fuck up on the presentation of it on Instagram and on the website?
No, I think what actually happens on the competition floor is the most important. As far as storytelling goes, it was a no-brainer for them to end it the way they did. But of course, we would have wanted them to put 7 rounds for time and then in parentheses with an asterisk or whatever, just say the workout will end after the box jump overs in round 7.
Right. Remember, guys, if you order $100 or more at Paper Street Coffee now and you use code word Sevan, you'll not only get a discount, but you'll get entered into 2 free tickets for the CrossFit Games. I forget. They're good tickets. They're like $1,000 each. I think you actually have to spend $117.65 because with the code word Sevan, it'll keep you then to like $101 or something. So if you want to enter that, go over to Paper Street Coffee now. That will be available for the next couple weeks. And they are great seats. They are seats that you won't be able to get any other way.
Today's going to be
Great question. Is JR natty? Andrew?
Yes.
Okay.
He just doesn't eat very much.
Okay. Do you
I eat more than Hiller, 100%, probably more than you and Hiller put together.
You do not eat more than me.
And you're about to, dude. All right, so the way you see me eat this weekend is the way that I eat all the time. I eat no less than 3 pounds of fruit and 2 pounds of red meat every day. So 5 pounds of food a day.
Wow.
100%. But only meat and fruit.
He's also not lying.
Wow.
When we were, where were we? Like, was that the games last year where I walked in and you had like 5 tubs of blueberries? And
yeah, I'll just eat a dry pound. Like that's what I'll just eat for. Hey, I'm hungry. I'll just eat 2
Yeah, I
pounds of
do that.
blueberries. Yeah.
I do that. I go in the back. This morning I picked orange and like 10 loquats in the yard. Hey, Jay Chapman, JR, do you eat arse? I think that's ass in English.
Yeah, it is.
All right, back to the show.
being any different, fucking bring it. Second piece on that.
What was that?
Even if you didn't have a credential, or you're still going to do the same thing with a credential or without a credential. So don't act like it's going to be any different. And if it is going to be any different, fucking bring it. Second piece on that.
Does that mean call him and tell him it's going to be different? Because he can't show you it's going to be different if you can't go.
I'm very confused by that.
Even if you didn't have a credential, or you're still going to do the same thing with a credential or without a credential. So don't act like it's going to be any different. And if it is going to be any different, fucking bring it.
Meaning, so if now that you're from the outside, I don't think this is what he meant, but this is what he said. He's saying, hey, if it's going to be different with you from the outside, then bring it, which would mean you would make all positive stuff.
That's kind of what I thought he was getting at. Yeah. Wow, that'd be.
But I think what he was really meant saying is if you're going to try to ass pound us, go ahead. I dare you, bring it.
Oh.
Because that's how you use the word bring it.
That's how, yeah.
You don't look across the room at your girl and you're like, hey, girl, bring it. Bring it. You know what I mean? It's not like, and she comes over and sits on your face. You say bring it to someone, those are fighting words.
I can see Bryce doing that.
Those aren't love-making words.
You know, Bryce Smith?
Yeah.
I'm that guy. I could see him doing that.
Front tail.
Second piece on that. For all of those questioning why he didn't get one, you talk about Craig Ritchie, you talk about the Buddy Bros, you talk about those other guys. They're critical of us too, not to the degree or to the extent that you are, Hiller. Hiller takes.
Oh shit! He's talking to you, like you're watching the show.
I am. I'm watching the show.
For all of those questioning why he didn't get one, you talk about Craig Ritchie, you talk about the Buddy Bros, you talk about those other guys. They're critical of us too, not to the degree or to the extent that you are, Hiller. Hiller goes after people specifically. Even in this video, he's bringing up images of Jada Coons and Don Fall and trying to clown them both. And he goes after people very deliberately and very specifically and has a history of it that pretty much crosses lines. It's more than just being a critic. It's frankly being an asshole.
So that goes back to what JR was saying about you being the Stephen A. Smith of CrossFit.